everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name's Claire and this is Yoli. I make videos all about houseplant care, sharing tips and tricks I've picked up over the years to help keep your plants happy and healthy. And in today's video, we're going to be going through absolutely everything you need to know about caring for snake plants. So let's get into it. So, Sansevieria, commonly known as snake plants, are known as one of the best beginner plants simply because of how hardy they are and how easy they are to care for. They're often referred to as unkillable, but that being said, as with any live plant, if you're not giving them exactly what they need, this is going to lead to issues that can ultimately cause death. Snake plants have amazing air purifying qualities, meaning that they're often really popular bedroom and office plants because clean air and high oxygen levels can help aid a healthy sleep cycle and increase productivity. They're pretty amazing plants. The first thing to take into consideration in order to keep your snake plant happy and healthy is light. These plants are known for being able to survive in low light conditions, but the mistake that people make a lot of the time when they hear this is assuming that that means no light at all. All plants require at least some natural light to stay alive and grow. The best way to tell if an area is too dark is to ask yourself if you could comfortably read a book there. If the answer is no, then chances are it's going to be too dark for even low light plants. Because of their ability to cope in lower light conditions, a lot of people assume that that's the best lighting conditions to keep them in, and in fact it's not. Snake plants are succulents native to West Africa and therefore will actually do best in much brighter conditions. Keeping your snake plant in a bright, sunny spot or in an area that receives bright and direct light will speed up the rate at which it grows, as well as making it appear much fuller and healthier. Often if you look at a snake plant that's been kept in lower light conditions compared to one that hasn't, you can just tell that it looks a lot duller, thinner and not as vibrant. There's actually a good example of this here. This one's been down in my room and it's been in much lower light conditions to this one, and they're the same type of snake plant. I don't know if you can see the difference, but there's a big difference. They're both Kirky eyes, but yeah, as I say, that one obviously looks a lot fuller, brighter, healthier, and this one looks a lot duller and darker. I keep most of my snake plants, apart from that one, fairly close to south-facing windows, which here in the UK means they receive a really good amount of light all day round. A couple of really important things that you should be doing regularly in order to keep your snake plant happy is firstly dusting its leaves. A build-up of dust on the leaves essentially acts as a shield and prevents your plant from being able to absorb all the light it needs in order to photosynthesize and grow healthily. Secondly, turning your snake plant regularly is really important so that it's able to absorb equal amounts of light from all angles. If you don't do this, then chances are over time you're going to notice the growth start to become quite uneven and lopsided. The next thing to talk about is watering. As I've already mentioned, snake plants are succulents, which means they have an amazing ability to store water in their leaves and can go a really long period of time without being watered. The area where most people go wrong is they assume that really frequent watering is going to keep them happy, and in this case it can actually be the biggest killer. Overwatering can lead to issues such as fungal disease, rotting, and most commonly root rot, which can be hard to bounce back from and can bring down your plants pretty quickly if you're not careful. Because the environment of everyone's homes is going to be so different, i.e. different lighting conditions, different temperatures, etc., I would always say don't stick to any kind of strict watering schedule. The best way to make sure you're giving your snake plant the right amount of water, no more, no less, is to monitor the soil. With these ones, I would always recommend waiting until it's almost completely dried out before you go ahead and water again. You can either use something called a moisture meter to check if you're not quite sure, or what I tend to do is just stick my finger down into the soil and feel. These ones will be absolutely fine if you forget to water them every now and again. So if you're in any doubt as to whether or not you should water, I would recommend waiting a few days and then checking back. As I say, they're super drought tolerant and can go weeks on end without water. For example, I haven't watered my big one here for about a month now, and although she's probably ready for a drink now, she's definitely not complaining. The other thing that you've got to make sure of is that your snake plant has good drainage. So much of the time nowadays, plants come ready potted up in pots like this one without a drainage hole, and that just means that any water not absorbed by the roots is left sat at the bottom of the pot, which again can cause rotting. I always keep my plants in their nursery pot and just treat the pretty pots as pot covers. That way I can take them out when I water them, let them properly drain, and then pop them back into their pretty pots. I do this with all of my houseplants. If you you suspect you might have overwatered and caused root rot, this can be fixable if you catch it early. I'll post in the description box below some ways that you can treat root rot, but if anyone's got any questions, feel free to drop me a comment down below. During the growing season, which is the spring and summer months, fertilising your snake plants can help to encourage and support new growth. Again, it is possible to go overboard with fertilising, so if you've never fertilised before, I would personally recommend starting with less than it says and gradually building it up over time. This might be super obvious as well, but always read the instructions to make sure you're not going to give your plants too much. I made a video a while ago about some DIY zero waste fertilizers you can make yourself at home. I literally use these all the time to keep my plants happy and healthy, so I will link that video in the description box below if anyone's interested. When it comes to temperature, again, snake plants are really adaptable. They can cope in temperatures as low as 4 degrees Celsius and tolerate highs of up to 40, which is insane. That being said, in the same way as their lighting conditions, even if they're coping in the extremes, it doesn't necessarily mean they're as happy as they could be. So for optimum growth and healthiness of your plant, it's recommended to keep them between 18 and 30 degrees Celsius. As with lots of houseplants, snake plants enjoy a steady temperature, which just means it's not constantly fluctuating up and down all the time. Humidity-wise, although snake plants are desert plants and used to moderate humidity, they're perfectly capable of surviving with lower humidity levels. Some houseplants will kick up a right stink if the humidity isn't high enough, but for these ones, anything between about 30 and 50% is absolutely fine, which tends to be pretty standard for most homes here in the UK. One of the most common problems you might notice as a result of not enough humidity is brown tips on the leaves. There are a couple of other causes of brown tips too. They can also be caused by too much exposure to direct sun, or they can be caused by a watering imbalance. If this is happening, I'd suggest pruning off the brown tips with a clean pair of scissors and then adjusting the conditions you're keeping your plant in to prevent it from happening again. Another common issue often seen in snake plants is where the leaves become quite soft and squishy as opposed to firm. This tends to be caused by overwatering, but it can also be caused by a fungal disease. If you do notice your plant starting to go downhill, you can actually chop away the healthy bits of the plant and propagate them to make a brand new plant. You can also obviously take cuttings even if everything's fine and you just want to create new little baby plants. My big Laurentii was hit really badly by Yoli's tail and I lost quite a few leaves, so I decided to propagate them. They've been in water for probably about 3 months now, and you can see a nice little, hang on, I'll take it out, a nice little root system starting to establish. There we go, you can see it better now. Some people choose to use a rooting hormone to help the cuttings to root. I personally haven't bothered with these ones. I've tried it before, and just with snake plants, I haven't found it makes a massive difference. I literally just stuck mine in water, very straightforward, and I do half water changes about every week and a half, whenever I remember. And apart from that, it's just the case of waiting. You can also just plant them straight up in soil and skip the water propagation process, but I've always had a much higher success rate doing it this way. If anyone's got any questions about propagating or any issues you might currently have going on with your snake plants, then feel free to drop me a comment down below and I will do my best to help. I really hope this video was useful. If it was, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next video.